10.1 Intro to Conic Sections Practice Solutions. For these, we are finding the center and the radius for all of them. So for the first one, number 11, we're given 3, 6, and 1330. So to find our center, we're going to do the 6 and, the 3 plus 13 over 2. 6 plus 30 over 2. So the 3 plus 13 is 16 over 2, and the 6 plus 30 is 36 over 2. So this is 8 and 18. To find our radius, we are going to take the square root of x2 minus x1 from the center and one of the originals. So I'm going to do 8 minus 3 squared plus y2 minus y1, so 18. 18 minus 6 squared. That's all underneath the radical. So this is going to give us 5 squared plus 12 squared. 5 squared is 25. 12 squared is 144. This is going to give us the square root of 169, which is 13. So our radius is 13, and our center is 818. For number 12, we have negative 4, 1, and negative 16, negative 8. So we are going to do the center first. Oops. So this is going to give us negative 4 plus negative 16 over 2, and 1 plus negative 8 over 2. So the negative 4 plus negative 16 is negative 20 over 2, and the 1 plus negative 8 is negative 7 over 2. So this is just negative 10, negative 2, 4, 3, 3.5. So I'm going to use my center and one of the originals to find my radius using my distance formula. So the square root of negative 10 minus negative 4 squared plus negative 3.5 minus 1 squared. So these two negatives are going to become positives. Negative 10 plus 4 is negative 6 squared. Then negative 3.5 minus 1 is negative 4.5 squared. To square these numbers, we're going to have the square root of 36 plus the 4.5 squared gives us 20.25. If we add these two, we're going to have the square root of 56.25. And when we take the square root of that, we get 7.5. So our center is negative 10, negative 3.5, and our radius is 7.5. For 13, we have 6, negative 9, and negative 839. So to find our center first, we're going to have 6 plus negative 8 all over 2, and negative 9 plus 39 all over 2. So this is going to give us negative 2 over 2, 30 over 2. So that's negative 115. Our radius, we're actually going to put this down one line. There we go. Radius is the square root of x2 minus x1, so that's going to be negative 1 minus 6 squared plus y2 minus y1, so 15 minus negative 9 squared. From here, the -1 minus 6 is -7 squared, and the 15 plus 9 gives us 24 squared. So that's the square root of 49 plus 576. If we add these two, we have 625. So that's the square root of 625, which is 25. So our radius is 25. And then our center, we said, was -115. For 32, we have 20, 21, and 12, 6. So to find our center, we have 20 plus 12 over 2 and 21 plus 6 over 2. The 20 plus 12 gives us 32 over 2, and the 21 plus 6 is 27 over 2. So this is going to be 16 and, why can't I think of this? 26 is 13 and 1/2. So this is our center. To find our radius, oops, we're going to do the square root of x2 minus x1 squared. So this I'm going to do 16 minus 12 squared plus 13.5 minus 6 squared. So this is the square root of 16 minus 12 is 4 squared plus 13.5 minus 6 is 7.5 squared. If I square these, the 4 squared gives me 16, and the 7.5 squared is 56.25. When I add these two numbers, I'm going to get the square root of 72.56, or sorry, 72.25. I don't know where I got that from. So I'm going to take the square root of that and round it, or I don't have to round it. So our radius is 8.5. For 33, we are given 9 over 2, 5 over 2, and 5 over 2, 17 over 2. So this is going to give us a center that is 9 over 2 plus 5 over 2 divided by 2, and 5 over 2 plus 17 over 2 divided by 2. So 9 plus 5 is 14 over 2 divided by 2. And then the 5 plus 17 is 22 over 2, all over 2. So the 14 over 2 is 7 over 2, and the 22 over 2 is 11 over 2. So this is my center. Oops. My radius. I'm going to do the square root of 7 over 2 minus 9 over 2 squared plus 11 over 2 minus 5 over 2 squared. So this is 7 minus 2, which is -2 over 2. And 11 minus 5 gives us 6 over 2 squared. Now we can simplify these to give us the square root of -1 squared plus 3 squared. So this is the square root of 1 plus 9, which is the square root of 10. The square root of 10 is 3.16. We're running to the nearest hundredth here. For 34, we have 7, -5, and -110. So we're going to find our center first. So this is going to be 7 plus -1 over 2 and -5 plus 10 over 2. So 7 minus 1 is 6 over 2, and -5 plus 10 is 5 over 2. So 2.5 is our center. To find our radius, we're using the new point, which is our center, so 2.5, and doing 3 minus one of the x values. I'm going to use the -110 squared plus 2.5 minus 10 squared. Alright, so 3 plus 1 is 4, so our radius is equal to 4 squared plus the 2.5 minus 10 is -7.5 squared. From here, this is going to give me the square root of 16 plus 56.25. When I add these, I'm getting 72. The square root is 72.25. So I take the square root of that, and I get 8.5.